Welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Alberto Calderon, and joining me today is our friend Noor-Hal. How are you doing?
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking before we start a little bit. I've been fortunate enough to kind of have been in different live stream with you. I think mostly with our friends at the Geeky Waffle and their Waffles After
Yeah.
Dark and all that fun stuff they have over there. But and we talked on Twitter, of course. But finally, you're here officially talking a little bit of Star Wars. So,
Yes.
how's your week been? Any Star Wars stories you might have? Anything Star Wars happened to you this week before we kind of jump into our big news today?
Oh, well, just reading, catching up with High Republic comics and
Cool.
trying to finish Into the Dark. I'm a little bit behind on the High Republic books, so I'm almost done with Into the Dark because I really want to jump into Rising Storm.
No.
I, I think a lot of a lot of details have been spoiled, but it's okay. I fall behind, but yeah,
Yeah.
so far so
It's
good.
it's difficult right now with the High Republic because that's their main kind of publishing initiative out there. And if you're not caught up, it's hard to kind of not get spoiled. I know a few people. I was talking before we started about Andrew from Outer Rim Reads. He just
Mm-hmm.
started reading the Light of the Jedi for his show, and he's thankfully for
Oh,
him, he's been able to kind of keep away from main spoilers. But yeah, it's too difficult now. If you fall behind, there are already like 8 books. But into the Dark, that's my favorite one so far. I mean, it's Claudia Gray, so you can't go wrong with
oh
Claudia Gray. And
yes.
yeah, she's just the best. And with the way she writes Comac and Orla Jareni and everything that happens through the book, especially that second half, took me on a different journey. And so
Yeah.
far, that's my favorite one. So I hope you're enjoying it and
Thank you.
eventually.
Yes. No, I'm truly enjoying it. I think the High Republic is a period of time that, of course, we know what's happening,
Mhm.
what's happening later in the story of the the history of the galaxy. But I think we are fortunate to dwell into this period of time where we have had this new characters, this plethora of new characters that are really interesting, and both from the light side, the
Mhm.
good, the Jedi, but also the Nihil. I mean,
Yeah, I
exciting.
mean, it's like you said, yeah, we know what's going to happen 300 years or 200 years in the future, but it doesn't matter because everything that
Exactly.
they're giving us, all the new characters, the new planets, the new situations, all the problems they're having, is brand new. And then you give us some antagonists. I know some people don't like calling them villains, but the Nihil, Markion Row, and all that, those
Yes.
are just. And you're reading into the dark, you'll find some other bad guys out there. So it's great. And speaking of High Republic and great characters, so I got this. This is my
Whoa,
Stellan Geos 3D printed lightsaber
that
that I
is
got
so neat.
from yes. So super 3D printers. There's a link down on the description of this episode. They do this 3D printers. Our friend Arsu, I believe, was the first one that I knew that got one, and then I had to get mine. I love the High Republic so much. There's no official lightsabers out there yet for them. As you can see behind me, I do love my light. I always forget the camera. My lightsaber, so I had to get this hilt. There you go.
It's fantastic. It's
Again,
really cool.
we're being 3D printed. The design, the details are pretty cool. It's plastic, obviously, so it's pretty lightweight. It's a lot longer than I imagined, and it
Uh-huh.
also came with that kind of display back there. So
Yes.
and not too expensive. So anyone out there wants a High Republic or any other Star Wars lightsaber hilt, go check out them super 3D printers. I got it about 3 or 4 days, so the shipping to the in the US is pretty
So
fast.
good. Nice.
So Noor-Hal, again, it's your first time here officially, so we gotta learn a little bit more about you. We know, at least I know, you're a singer. You play all these instruments out there. Where did this all come from? Have you always been interested in music, and when did you start, kind of, I guess, following that passion?
Well, since I was little, I've loved singing, and obviously, yeah, have my. I'm an engineer, and I went to school and whatever. But singing is one of my passions since I was little. But I was just a singer. I didn't knew how to play an instrument. So about 11 years ago, I started like literally a friend just brings the lyrics of the song with the chords, and hey, you can play it. It's easy, but it was one of those things that you see. Oh, it must be really difficult to play in an instrument and sing at the same time, to coordinate. And it took. I mean, it's everything at the beginning. You have to practice. You have to learn. But it has become one of my favorite, like the hobbies that I love. About playing guitar and playing piano. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I keep learning day by day, but it's one of the things that I love a lot. And yeah, it's really fulfilling for me.
Cool. Yeah, I used to play trombone in my high school band 20 years ago. I do have a guitar and a bass. Used to play bass a little bit, but like you said, it's practice and practice. So if you kind of leave it for years like I have, it's no, you gotta keep at it.
Yeah.
So now moving a little bit toward Star Wars, because that's what we're here to talk about. What's your Star Wars journey? Do you remember your first time kind of watching a Star Wars movie or a TV show? And what was the point where it kind of took over your life or kind of made you kind of go deep into this world?
Sure. Yeah, well, I knew about the Star Wars for just pop culture references, like Vader and Luke and whatnot. But I hadn't watched the original trilogy movies, and I think I saw glimpses or like ended up watching Revenge of the Sith. But like, oh yeah, let's watch the movie that it's on in the movie theater, and that was it. But then by 2015, when The Force Awakens was going to be released, it was Halloween. And I saw the trailer, and I said, "Oh, that Rey costume! Actually, that girl. I like the costume for Pop Crawl because I love going Halloween Pop Crawl in a pre-pandemic life, right? It was, my mother helped me to make the costume, and it was funny because you could say who was a Star Wars fan by seeing the reaction, like, oh my God, the movie is not even out yet, and you're dressed as the new character. Obviously, one guy passed by like, "Are you Obi-Wan Kenobi?" It's like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's all the Jedi, no?
Yeah, it's a Jedi, but the thing is that I hadn't seen the original trilogy, and I wanted to watch the new one. So I said, I'll do a marathon. But it was just like, okay, I'm going to watch the MCU in order to watch Endgame kind of thing. Yeah. But when I saw it, when I watched the movies, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Why it took me so long? And yeah, it's been 6 years, and it has been fantastic because it was like the Force awakened in me somehow.
Sure.
Because
there you go.
I got into the books, into the comics, into all the characters, and I've met so many fantastic people and friends like you guys, and it's been amazing. It's been a fantastic journey so far.
Yeah, I'm glad you took that journey, and I love hearing from people like yourself and others I have the chance to talk to here, and that's a similar story. Yeah, I knew about Star Wars, but it wasn't until this new trilogy. Some people with The Force Awakens, others with even The Last Jedi, which is even 4 years ago or whatever. And then that started their journey. And so, again, I'm older, so I did grow up with the original trilogies, but I kind of backed off a little bit in the 90s because there was nothing. And then with the re-release, I kind of brought me back. The younger crowd just go through the prequel trilogy and the Clone Wars, but love everything about it. So it's one of those magic of Star Wars. It doesn't matter your generation. Once you kind of hold on to something, then you're swept in everything. So, yeah. All right. So before we start, so as always, if you're watching this, thank you. Make sure you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Like all the kids say, my son watches YouTube every day, and I gotta make sure I like this video, subscribe, and all that stuff. And leave a comment if you're watching this later. And if you're listening to this when the audio podcast comes out, thank you also. And make sure to leave us a review and a rating. Let's see who's out there on the chat. Our friend Dale is saying hello there. Dale, hello there. General Dale, and our friend Amy Guerra saying I love that Star Wars is always coming up with fresh material that ropes in new fans, of course. And we're going to be talking about a few things in our first story that might bring in more new fans. I see your shirt. You're ready to talk about it. So if you guys are ready, I know I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars, and it's Star Wars news.
Star Wars news.
All right, and our first kind of bit of Star Wars news took everyone by surprise, including myself. This was dropped yesterday. I'm still counting it as a rumor because if it's not official, it doesn't come from Disney, Lucasfilm, or anyone involved with it. It's still a rumor. Most likely it's going to happen is that Deadline, I believe, was the first one to report that Natasha Liu Bordizzo was cast as the Mandalorian herself, Sabine Wren, in the upcoming Ahsoka TV series, which another report is this is going to start filming early next year, I think in the spring of next year, hopefully be released spring of 2023. So, Noor-Hal, I'll start with you. When you heard this casting announcement, what was your reaction? You have the Sabine Wren shirt, so I'm guessing you're a fan. Excited, kind of okay, it's a rumor, but where are you right now with this report?
I'm really excited actually. It's an Ahsoka. I don't have a Sabine. I need to get a Sabine Wren because
but it has the Sabine design of the Starbird.
Oh, the star, the Phoenix. Yeah, I think I'm really excited, and of course it's I'm looking forward to see this show. Ahsoka, and hopefully it's like I'm crossing my fingers that we have Ezra as well.
Oh, better.
Yes, but I think it was a great casting. I haven't seen Natasha Liu Bordizzo before. I think she was in the Society. I think that was the reference from Deadline, but I think it's a nice casting. I can see the snarky attitude from Sabine Wren, and I gotta be honest. Okay, I love Tia Sircar. I would have loved to have her doing live action Sabine, but I like this casting, and I think I'm hoping she does a great job as Sabine. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, same. At first when I saw this come up yesterday, I don't know if I was driving home or I was still at work. So I think when I got home, my whole Twitter was just this casting. I was scrolling just this casting. But at first, I thought, okay, here we go. Another rumor, another scoop out there. Haven't we learned anything? But like we talked about before, no, this came from Deadline. A lot of reputable news outlets picked it up. It's not scoopers on Twitter. It's people that know what they're doing. This is their job. So everything that I've seen is very positive and very likely that this is correct. And I'm all for it. I do I'm in the same way that you would have loved if Tia Sircar was kind of cast for this. She's a great actress. She's been in a lot of shows out there, The Good Place, a lot of other places. I don't know if it's something has to do with the physicality of what they want to do with the character or what that they did, or maybe the age that the character is going to be at this point. I don't know. But I trust Lucasfilm and all the Star Wars casting directors. I think so far they've done a great job with everyone they casted for the live action series and movies. So same thing, I haven't seen Natasha in anything, but I'm gonna trust her judgment. Looks to play the part. She looks like Sabine. There are other pictures with her with pink hair and everything. So if they say this is the person to play it, I'll be on board with it. Waiting for those official reports, but so what, like you said, and Ezra better be here. And yes, Ezra, come on, that's the show, right? That's what we all. So what do you think? What do you expect from the Ahsoka series now that, let's say that this is true and Sabine is going to be in the show? We don't know if it's one episode, 8 episodes or whatever. Do you still believe that the main plot of this show is going to be her, Ahsoka, on the hunt for Ezra and Thrawn, which was kind of alluded in The Mandalorian, or do you think it's going to be something different?
Well, I'm really hoping that it's that is around their journey, what we saw in the epilogue of Rebels season 4 finale, that they go on a quest to find Ezra. I would definitely love that because it's one of the huge questions we have. It's like, what happened with
For
Ezra?
how long now? Yeah, for years.
Exactly. And the now that you mentioned the Mandalorian, we saw that throne was mentioned, but it was like someone that it was active, right? Like, hey, what is General Grand Admiral Throne? It's like, oh, wait a minute. So there's more story, and I'm really excited to hear more about that journey. I think I might be wrong, but I think I saw something about she being one of the main characters of the show. But I might be. It's a rumor as well. We don't have many details yet. But it would be fantastic if we have more about Sabine in this show. Of course, we know about Hayden, and I'm really excited to have Force Ghost Anakin, or maybe flashbacks. I would love to have Rex. Please, Tamora Morrison is there. Please, more Tamora Morrison.
Yeah. If you haven't used him, it's the same age. You don't have to do anything. Put a little hair on him if you want.
Yeah.
So I'm on the same boat. I think the main plot of this show is going to be the search for Ezra, or for Grand Admiral Thrawn, and by kind of proxy Ezra, because last we saw them, they're together. I think that time period for this show is going to be very important. Like you mentioned, the epilogue for Rebels, as far as we know, it's after the events of Mandalorian. So do Sabine and Ezra go on this mission, and then halfway Sabine has to go back to Lothal, and then it picks up after the epilogue? We don't know. But if they're together, they gotta go find Ezra. We gotta see Ezra. Come on, say that Mina Masad is gonna play him. Space Aladdin, we need him.
Yes.
It's the best casting. And I know Hayden also is rumored to be there. I'll be honest, I'm the only one who's like, I don't want them to meet again. And I know I'm like the 0.1% that says that everyone wants them to meet. Everyone wants Ahsoka to know that Anakin was redeemed.
Yeah.
I'm on the just leave it, but we'll see. Let me say hi to someone that's their first time here. Harish, thanks for being here. Thanks for catching us live. And you're saying you really like the casting, but as a South Asian, would have really liked to see someone of mixed East and South Asian descent, especially because that's how it's coded in this show to me. 100% agree. I've seen other people say this. I can't speak to it. Obviously, I'm not of Asian descent, so I can't say, yeah, you're wrong or whatever. But I do understand. And we've seen our friend Candace from Geeky Waffle. She's done her whole thing with all the Sabine's family, all the rents, and how they're coded and all that. And I kind of all for with what they're saying. So I agree with your saying. We'll see how it's played on the show. And again, still rumors. We thought she was coming in Mandalorian season 2, that Sasha Banks was gonna be Sabine, and we saw how that played out. So anyway, we won't have to wait too long to find out who's playing Sabine, and then the Ahsoka show is coming in a year or so. I know. Are you bummed that it's not gonna be an animated kind of sequel to Rebels? A lot of people are saying, "Oh, this just looks like a Rebel sequel. They should have kept it animated." Or are you okay that they're doing this kind of transition now to live action with those characters?
I gotta say that, well, I loved Rebels, to be honest. I thought it was the animation kept improving, like we saw. I think it kept this level of the really good development. And yeah, if the sequel, because a lot of people are saying, this is Rebel 2.0. I don't see the problem with that because I love Rebels. But I could see some pros of having a live action series instead of animation. I mean, it would have been great if they kept the animated series, but yeah, I'm interested. I can say my interest. I'm paid. Like, yeah, you have my attention. I want to see. I can tell you when with The Mandalorian last season, I think it was the only episode. It was Black Friday as well, but that helped. But it was the only episode that I stay up till 2 a.m. here in Central to watch the episode. And I try not to scream so loud because wow, oh my God, with all the sequences. But it would be fantastic. It would be nice to add another dimension. I can feel with the Star Wars, you have obviously the live action, both TV or movies, and also you have animation, and you have the comics, and you have the books, and it's interesting to cover all the different characters, to have a little bit of them on each media. So I mean, I'm really excited. I mean,
Yeah. I love Rebels. It's my favorite animated series so far, and it took me a while. I liked it the first time I watched the whole series. I rewatched it last year, and that's when I fell in love with it. But I'm more of a live action person. That's what I gravitate to. Nothing against animation. A lot of the best Star Wars is in animation. I'll give it that. But once Ahsoka made the jump to live action, I knew they weren't. I assume, let me say that because I don't know really what's going on. I assume that they weren't going back to animation to continue her story. It didn't make sense to me that you bring someone like Rosario Dawson. I know, not talk about her personal issues that some people kind of don't like what's going on,
yeah.
but she's a known actress out there. I didn't see them bringing an actress of this kind of caliber that people know her and then say, okay, thank you, we're going to continue her story in this animated show that not everyone knows about. So I kind of said, yeah, she's now in live action, that's going to be the continuation. And I feel for those Rebel fans that wanted the sequel to be an animation. I don't see it happening, at least not right now. Who knows, after the Ahsoka series and this Mandoverse that everyone thinks is going to be this retelling of the original Throne trilogy. Maybe when all that ends, they'll pick up the characters again in animation. But I think that Search for Ezra is going to be live action. I am all for it, but I understand why some people might prefer the animated way. Like our friend Amy is saying, I prefer animation, but live action is what draws in new fans.
Yes.
And again, it's yes, because the only person in my house that watched Rebels with me is my daughter. That was our thing. But my wife and my son, my daughter and myself watch The Mandalorian, both seasons, and we do the same with the MCU shows. And unfortunately, that brings in new fans and people that might not, oh, yeah, it's animation, I'll just kind of watch it from the sides. Yes, live action is going to bring more of those fans. And Harris is adding, I fell in love with Rebels back when it started in 2014. And I feel like even since it started, Lucasfilm has kind of neglected the Rebels characters. And yes, now, because I don't know, when did Rebels finish? 2016, more or less?
I think it was
2017,
I guess.
I don't know. About 3 years ago, let's say. Let's just throw
18.
it out there.
It was
19?
18, if I'm not, yeah, because I started watching Rebels on season 2 right after The Force Awakens, because Princess Leia was going to appear. It was season 2. That was 2016. Yeah, it was 2018 when it finished.
Okay. So it's been about 3 years, and we really haven't seen so much of those characters. It ended in that great cliffhanger. Now we got Ahsoka back, hopefully Sabine, and it kind of continues the story. So we'll see. Again, Star Wars is growing so much that it's difficult to keep bringing all these other characters we all fall in love with. But speaking of characters we all fall in love with, some of our favorites that we might be seeing very soon in a live-action show called the Kenobi Show they're also coming in a new book by Michael Chen. Mike Chen is writing a new book called Brotherhood, and we have that cover reveal. Here you go. Anakin, Obi-Wan, Attack of the Clones vibes, that a little planet in the background. So I know you said you're kind of getting caught up with the High Republic. Do you know a little bit about this book? Are you excited about this? And when you saw the cover, did you like it? I'm a little bit on the fence with the cover. I want to hear your take first.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm looking forward to see. Of course, with the Kenobi show, I know, and I understand that. Like you said, we have so many characters to cover in the Star Wars universe, but I think Kenobi is one that draws the attention of both new and old fans, right? So I think this book, I'm looking forward to see how if there's going to be any connection with the show. But talking about that, I'm looking forward to see it. The cover, I think it was cool. It was, yeah, like giving me vibes of this Attack of the Clones era, and I think the only material that I've read prior to episode 2, it was the short comic arc of Obi-Wan and Anakin, but they had this adventure, and we had a glimpse of teenager Anakin that was started to be manipulated by Palpatine.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I haven't read that one.
I really recommend that. It's nice. The story, and it's a short run. So I'm really looking forward to read more about the adventures of Anakin and Kenobi, and see how that somehow will link to the series and what we're going to see.
This is releasing May 10th of next year. Even though the Kenobi series the release date hasn't been set, a lot of rumors say spring, summer, something like that. So it has to tie up. There has to be something. Yeah, I saw him pop up. I'll let him wait before I say hi to him on the chat. He was here last week, our friend. But there has to be some connection with the Kenobi series for it to come more or less at the same time that we expect the show to come out. This is, like you mentioned, this is right after, or between Attack of the Clones. Yeah, between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. They're called to Cato Nemodia. Kenobi has this great line in Revenge of the Sith. Oh, that business on Cato Nemodia doesn't count. And we're going to get to see it. So one little line in a movie from 2005. Now we're going to see what that was. I don't know how the people from Cato Nemodia are blaming the Republic for a bombing that happened on their planet. And they have to send Kenobi, the negotiator, of course, to find out what happens. Anakin tags along. He's a brand new Jedi Knight. He has some young Jedi with him that we don't know who it is. And of course, a great character out there, Asajj Ventress, also has her hands in this book. So that's just recipe for a great story. And I'm really interested in seeing what happens. This cover, to me, was kind of okay. And I don't want, again, the designer, the artist that did the cover did a great job. So nothing against those, because I couldn't do that. I'll start with that. But it just seemed looks like copy paste from some poses that we've seen from Anakin and Kenobi promoting Attack of the Clones. I think they changed a little bit of their hair, but the background, there's a little circle with the planet behind them, which I really liked. But the story is what matters. The cover, whatever. I care about the story. So very interested for it. Mike Chen, May 10th of next year. So we'll see. All right. So let's say hi to our friend Oti, that podcaster show. So saying hi, Oti. He was here last week. We had our great Disney Day recap. And he's here a lot. He'll be here again soon, most likely. Amy is very excited to see how Ventress favors into this. Ventress Day just happened the other day on Twitter. There's all this talk always that Ventress and Kenobi had this flirtatious relationship. Yeah. So how is this going to play out in a novel? It's going to be very excited. So, so we'll see. We'll see what happens next year. Man, Ventress. We got to get some Ventress back. And can we imagine seeing Ventress live action?
Taste. It would be amazing.
It will happen. Eventually, we'll see her. Hopefully.
Yes.
All right. So we have our main topic we're going to talk about today, which are sidekicks in Star Wars. Where's my intro? Here we go. All right, so Star Wars is known for the great characters. We just talked about a bunch of them here. I was talking about a little time period, just this kind of Rebels, Attack of the Clones time period, Clone Wars. But there's characters for 40 years, not counting everyone from the High Republic. But all those main characters, or most of them, had someone next to them, kind of helping them along, become these great heroes that we fell in love with. So we're going to give them a little bit of the spotlight today, talking about sidekicks, which I know some people might say, don't call them sidekicks. They're deserve their own kind of highlight. But a sidekick, not a sidekick, a sidekick, a person closely associated with another as a subordinate or partner. And I think all these were partners of the main characters.
Yes.
So before we go into, and there's a lot, so we'll see which ones we'll kind of cover. But when you think about sidekicks in Star Wars or that partner to one of the main characters, what do you think are some of the characteristics that makes them great characters or great sidekicks?
I think some of the characteristics is they are loyal, they are dependable, they can be trusted, they are resourceful as well, because more than less we see our main characters struggling with the situation, with the issue, and then they need the help or their partners of the sidekicks to go ahead and move on that situation. So I think it is really important to notice those characteristics they bring into the table, and especially that being loyal, being dependable. It's something that we can see in common of all these characters.
And I agree 100%. There's nothing else I can add to it. But if we're talking about being loyal, being dependable, being the Robin to Han Solo's Batman, there's only one. If we're going to start talking about sidekicks, it has to be Chewbacca, right? He's the greatest sidekick out there. Little Chewie, he's been in this for over 200 years. And Chewbacca, we met him 1977. Oh, there you go.
My Chewie.
Perfect. He's somewhere back there, hidden in my mess of toys. But Chewbacca, this walking carpet, as he's kind of referenced by Princess Leia when we first met him in A New Hope, has gone through all 9 movies of the saga, and not 9 movies, forget about the prequel trilogy, but original trilogy, sequel trilogy, Solo, and we'll see where else. Well, he's run the gamut. He's one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, not just sidekicks. Played beautifully by 2 characters, and I think for Jonas to take on this monument of after Peter Mayhew, and I think he made the character himself, and I love everything he's done with him. So speaking real quick about Chewbacca, do you have a favorite kind of scene with him or something that kind of, when you think about Chewbacca, what comes to mind?
Well, about Chewie, I think of his relationship, his friendship with Han Solo, this life depth that he had with him, that we get to learn a little bit more on the Solo Star Wars story movie, but then how he was dependable and loyal to him. And I think one scene that gets to me is when we saw in the book and the aftermath life death, where we learn about the liberation of Kashyyyk.
Okay.
And this moment when Han has to leave him because he's actually they have liberated the planet, but then Han has to go back to and he's, I mean, you see the character Chewie, that he's selfless, that he's like, hey, yeah, let's go. And no, buddy, you own this. You fought for the liberation of your home planet. And I mean, it's been great. And it's one of the heartbreaking moments, because you think of the moment when we met him. Obviously, chronologically was in the New Hope, when Ben Kenobi approaches him, and then we see Han Solo. But it's in the, like Oti said, the Wookiee hugs is also.
Yeah, you don't have a better sleep than wrapped around a Wookiee's hug or something that they say, that Rio says in Solo.
Yes.
What's funny about Chewie, I mean, apart from a lot of things, one of the first things that comes to mind to me, which is not about the movies, it's themselves. I grew up in Puerto Rico, of course, and the movies over there have subtitles. So every time that they will mention Chewie, it will come as a subtitles, and Chewie, which is about chewing, they will just put Masca, which is someone chewing. And will be Han Solo saying, Masca, get over here. And I'm like, dude, no, just put Chewie. We don't need to know the actual movement. So that's always kind of kept with me. And I think that was for the re-release of the movies, the special editions. But there's so much about Chewie to love, like you said, his dedication to everyone, not just to Han. Then we saw in the sequel trilogy even with Finn when they meet them and he gets shot up, even though he's trying to kill poor Finn. But I love that relationship that they have. And then, of course, through all of the mostly the Force Awakens and a little bit in The Last Jedi, how much he and Rey also connect. And when Rey is piloting the Falcon in The Rise of Skywalker, when she walks in and Chewie is there kind of looking at her, giving her, that, okay, you're back. You can take that seat. I'll stay as a co-pilot. There's so much to love about Chewie. I was able to meet Peter Mayhew on a convention in Puerto Rico. The only autograph that I have from anyone from Star Wars is with him. He's just this lovable guy. That's Chewbacca. We know him. I love in The Empire Strikes Back, it's just seeing him covered in snow, because he's a big dog, and just seeing him covered in snow brings a smile to my face. Seeing him in Solo, which is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, getting in the Falcon for the first time with Han and flying the Falcon for the first time is just something amazing, brings a smile to my face. That scene when he's turning all the knobs in and, oh, you know how to fly? Oh, you're 190 year old. You look great. It's like, yeah, of course Chewbacca knows how to do this. He's been fighting. But then, like you said, and we saw a little bit in Solo when they're on Kessel and he goes to help the other Wookiees to liberate them. And in Life, Death, Aftermath, which I'll say I haven't read, but seeing all that progression and then his devotion to all these characters, to the whole trilogy for 40 years, you won't get this for a character that's a walking carpet.
Yes, and for example, now that you mentioned about Rey, I think a lot of people has mentioned, okay, Rey and her mentor, the mentorship she received from Han, from Leia, from Luke. But wait a minute, I think the main influence, the main mentorship was Chewie, and not only mentoring her, is trusting her.
Yeah,
like exactly. You said, like, hey, no, you take the pilot. I'm your co-pilot. Is like, hey, that's. I thought he went with her, like taking her to going to Act 2, and then going to drop her to Kylo's Ren.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Like, yeah, it's two great scenes in The Last Jedi with Chewie when Luke is not really answering Rey's call and he just comes in, knocks that door off. It's like, dude, get your butt in and we need your help. And then in The Last Jedi, when she's like, yeah, tell Finn, and he kind of growls something. Yeah, tell him that, because they understand each other. He knows what she needs and she trusts him. Like our friend Oti is saying, agree with his loyalty. Han is gone. So his debt is basically over and he sticks around regardless. Chewie is the best. I mean, if Maskanata loves him, where's my boyfriend?
Exactly. And the thing is we're not saying, of course, he has these characters like Chewie have a story of their own that is quite interesting, but they are selfless and dependable enough to take the back seat or the co-pilot seat to let others take the wheel in a figurative sense.
Yeah, so. The wheel of the Falcon. So one more thing before we jump to our others, because we can talk about Chewie forever.
Oh yeah.
There's one thing I'll criticize Chewie for one thing in A New Hope. So he meets Ben Kenobi. I know I might get some heat. He meets Ben Kenobi. He takes them to Han and all this stuff. And when they're leaving and Han is talking to him, oh man, I can't believe you're gonna get paid $15,000 or whatever it is. And then, go prep the ship. He walks out and Greedo walks right in front of him. And like 2 feet behind, he's pulling his blaster on Han Solo. And Chewie still, la, I didn't see anything. Dude, really? You couldn't hear, wah, Solo? Just, come on. He should have said something. But anyway, hopefully we get to see more of Chewie. And one of those make Solo 2 happen or something with Chewbacca. We know that Jonas loves this character. Hopefully we can see more. Harris is saying, I love Maz and Chewie. Hope we get more of them. They've been around for a lot. We can get an episode of something, just Maz and Chewie when they met like 150 years ago.
Having a date or something.
Yeah. And our friend Mo is here. What's up, yo? Mo, she sent us a question. We'll get to that later. And yeah, for you guys on the chat or later, if you're watching this on the comment, just let us know any special kind of sidekick that you want us to talk about. What you think about the ones we're talking. So we started with our original sidekick. Let's jump to one of our newest one, but has taken the world by storm in Star Wars, and it's the one and only Fennec Shand.
Yes.
So Fennec Shand is this great character played by Ming-Na Wen that, if I'm not mistaken, is her birthday today from what I've seen out there on Twitter. So
Oh
if
my
that's
God!
right, we planned
Yes.
this perfectly. Happy birthday, Ming-Na. Hopefully you'll get to see
Happy
this.
birthday.
So Fennec Shand, we saw her in one episode, Mandalorian season 1, when they go to Tatooine, gets shot. Everyone thinks she's dead, but of course, someone comes in behind. We hear the spurs, and her story continues. Before we jumped into that, so I was the same thing that I said, oh, if they brought Rosario Dawson for Ahsoka, they're not going to go back to animation. If you bring someone like Ming-Na Wen to play a brand new character in Star Wars, it's not for one episode, she's dead, thank you for your service. I was pretty sure that she was going to come back. Then we saw everything in Mandalorian season 2. She was then in the Bad Batch, and now she's basically the co-lead of the Book of Boba Fett coming later this year. So talk to me about Fennec Shand, when you saw her first in Mandalorian season 1, and your thoughts on this character, which is beloved by most Star Wars fans out there, including myself. Are you there? You might have.
Damn it.
Oh, I can hear you at least.
Se me trabó.
All right. So while Noor tries to come back, she'll be back. So Harris is saying Ming-Na Wen, she's just the best, from Mulan to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Mando, exactly. And she's a great character. She's been in the Disney family, like you said, since Mulan, then with the MCU, now with the Mandalorian. And Fennec Shand, man, one of those characters that has been in different, like we said, started live action, now moved to animation with the Bad Batch, which was great seeing her there also. One of the things that I love about this character, when we meet her in Mandalorian season 1, and this bounty hunter, I always forget his name, thank God, because I hate him. He says, oh, I got this bounty I gotta go after. And Din Djarin's like, Fennec Shand, no, I'm not gonna mess with it. Everyone that goes after Fennec Shand doesn't come back. So we already get that kind of background that she's this badass bounty hunter out there. And then we see that kind of when we get to Rebels, to Bad Batch. All right, she's back. Let's bring her back. You don't want to just listen to me. So she's back. How you doing?
Sorry for that. I don't know what happened with my laptop, but I'm here. Sorry.
No, don't worry. So I was talking a little bit about Fennec Shand when we meet her in The Mandalorian, the first season. And this bounty hunter, I always forget his name, kind of tells Mando, hey, I'm looking for Fennec Shand. I need your help. And Din Djarin's like, Fennec Shand, I'm not going to mess with her because she kills everyone. And then we saw this in the Bad Batch when her first appearance chronologically goes toe-to-toe with Cat Bane, who's arguably one of the greatest bounty hunters in the Star Wars galaxy. And she holds her own. So we see what type of badass of a character she is. And of course, now moving to Mando Season 2 and of course, Book of Boba Fett. Toro Calican, thank you, Mo. I had forgotten his name because he sucks. He's one that will not make the list for best characters, for best sidekicks. This is the most I will ever talk about him on this show, probably. We'll make another show. But no, what I asked first was just this trajectory of Fennec Shand as a character from one episode in Mando Season 1 to now being this co-league with Boba Fett.
Well, I think I'm with you with what happened with Fennec at the episode 1, like in the season 1. I was bummed, like, what? It's Ming-Na Wen, is a great actress, and I was expecting to have more of Fennec Shand. But fortunately, on season 2, we saw her coming back along with Boba Fett. And
Yeah.
it was such a great character. And I was really excited. I never expected to be so excited about Boba Fett, even though me being in the fandom is relatively recent, but I wasn't really excited about Boba Fett, to be honest. But I thought this combination is amazing because they both are really, really bad kicking stuff. Like,
Yeah.
badass. But I think having her in the Bad Batch was like a surprise, a welcome one, but a surprise to be sure. Quoting Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it is interesting. This character is, like you said, we cannot dwell on light and dark and bad villains and heroes. The world and the universe, the Star Wars universe, can have all shades of gray in terms of the characters. So I loved how Fennec Shand is about the hunter, a ruthless one, but we saw glimpses of those traits, like how she was with Omega and the Bad Batch, the Bad Batch, and then this relationship that we see on screen with Boba Fett. That I'm committed to his service because he saved my life, and hopefully we have some other kind of relationship with them. Bonek forever.
Bonek, you gotta say every time we talk about it, you gotta bring Bonek. I'll give props to Arsu, Maggie, and all you guys out there that started the Bonek, because I was like, we don't need another ship. There's plenty of ships. But then we see the post-credit scene of Mando season 2, and it's like, yeah, there's something there. You saved my life, but there's history. Because in Mando season 1, she says, I'm meeting someone in the spaceport, or someone that she has to meet. And now we know it's Boba Fett. There has to be something more there. It's not just thank you, because Boba Fett, from what we knew before, wasn't this character to just save a life for someone that he runs into in the desert. It has to be someone that there's a connection with. And like you said, and I've heard this from most people, that now, I don't say now love Boba Fett, because that's kind of sounds weird, but have this new appreciation for the character, has to do with that relationship between him and Fennec Shand. But you can't have that relationship if Fennec Shand is a character that doesn't mesh well with the public and with everyone. And she's a great character from season 1, season 2, and in Bad Batch it was great, and now of course going to Book of Boba Fett. What do you expect to see, apart from hopefully Bonek or something out there? Where do you see this character kind of going in Book of Boba Fett? Because I see her, she's still a badass. Because even in the trailer, when she says, if you was Jabba's palace, it would have fed you to his menagerie. So she's there threatening all these other gangsters. She doesn't give a nothing. She's like, I'm here, I'm taking care of this. So what do you expect to see from her, from the little that we know for Book of Boba Fett?
I'm really excited to see, and hashtag Bonek. I'm really excited about this character, this show, and the perspective of having two characters that had been, Boba Fett had been part of other stories in Star Wars, but part of the Skywalker saga, but as one of the characters, not one of the main characters. Same with Fennec. Fennec Shand came along with the Mandalorian, but she was not one of the main characters. So I think this is a great opportunity to shine light on these two characters to see where they are at. And especially with the state of things of the galaxy at this point. It's 5 years after the Empire started falling on Andor, because we know Jakku happened a year later, but we see that it wasn't like a switch, like an on-off switch on the Empire. We still have remnants of the Empire, but I think we've seen a glimpse of it. What might come at the War of the Bounty Hunters crossover arc in the comics. That we see all the players. We know they're the Huts. We know about the Nictus, but and other crime groups, crime associations. But yeah, I'm really interesting. What are we going to see? Which other players he's going to find? They are going to find
Mhm.
in their way. We saw some glimpses on the trailer, but I would definitely love to hear if there's still some Crimson Dawn lying around. I mean, that would be fantastic. Yes,
It's
give
the
it,
Yeah, it's the same
Kira.
thing that we talked about with the Brotherhood novel, so close to the Kenobi show, and then we
Mhm.
have this whatever I forget the name, this bounty hunter comic book arc that
Yeah.
brings back Kira and Crimson Dawn, and she's leading Crimson Dawn at this point. And by the end of
Yes.
it, and we've heard from Charles Soule, he has this 3-story arc with them. They're getting their own comic series now. They were involved in the Return of the Jedi time period. Like you said, they're just 5 years. If Boba
Yes.
Fett and Fennec Shand are trying to take over the underworld of the Outer Rim, at least, give us Crimson Dawn. Bring back Kira. I would
Yes.
love to see her in a solo sequel or something. But come on, bring come on.
I
Give us,
mean,
if you
she's there. She's there in London. I mean, she can go do a cameo. Emilia Clarke, she's 35. She can play a 40, I don't know what
yeah,
age would be
that's
Kira, but yeah, that would be a fantastic way to bring a character that I really like, Kira, which is a conflicted character, and I really enjoyed this crossover arc. Yeah, mark my words, I enjoyed better this that Shadow of the Empire. And yeah, I can hear the gasp of some fans like, oh, but yeah,
yeah. How
I
could you
really
say
enjoyed
it?
that, how they put together all these events. But going back to Boba and Fennec, I think there's a really great opportunity because we know the New Republic, yeah, it's already in place, but it's not really hugely organized. There are pockets
Mhm.
without a power that might be uh, good for crime organizations. So definitely, it would be a really nice story to see.
Yeah, I mean, every time if someone who's some power loses them, there's this vacuum, and then the Outer Rim. Still, people don't care. 200 years later, people don't care too much about the Outer Rim. Jabba the Hutt controlled that for decades or even hundreds of years because he's not in the High Republic, but the Hutts are there. There's still a
Yes.
criminal organization at that point. So who's gonna take over now? Here comes Boba Fett trying to remove everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but Crimson Dawn is right there. We know that Boba Fett and Crimson Dawn now had some interaction because of this comic arc. What better place to bring all of that together? You have Kira, Fennec Shand on a. Come on, I can't,
Oh
I
my
can't
god.
anymore. Like Otis saying, if they show up, we'll blow all our minds. And
Yes.
Amy saying, I was never a big fan of Boa, but his connection with Fennec has helped soften his post-Sarlacc persona and made him so much more compelling. And that's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing from everyone. So we love it. I love Boba Fett.
Yes.
You love Boba Fett for a different reason, doesn't matter. Just like Star Wars. You love Star Wars, we're all fans. You like Boba Fett because he's softened up a little bit with Fennec Shand. We love it. Let's keep talking about him. And we'll see them in a month, next month. Jesus Christ,
Yes.
it's next month.
And in terms of representation, I think it's fantastic that we have
Yeah.
two actors over 50 playing the lead and two POCs
Yeah.
playing the leads of this
Mhm.
show, which is amazing. Yeah.
Yes. So win, win, win in everything.
Yeah.
So more people of color, more people over 25 in live action. Robert Rodriguez doing this, more Hispanic representation. We all win. Come on.
Yes.
Fennec, Bonek. We should end the show right there.
Yes.
All right. So Chewie, Fennec Shand. We can't forget about the droids in Star Wars. So
Aw,
the droids are some of the best out there. There's so many droids. We'll try to
I
separate them
know.
a little bit. We're gonna start with the OGs, the original R2D2 and C3PO. They're sidekicks to our main characters, and they're sidekicks to each other because
No.
they just have such a great connection. I love the beginning of A New Hope. I know a lot of people, those first 40 minutes before Han Solo show up are a little bit slow. I just
Mhm.
love R2's and 3PO's relationship. Yeah, they hate each other, but C3PO couldn't spend one day without R2. He kicks him, but then he's worried when he's not there. Oh, we gotta do something. Oh, R2, what happened with you? And then why the hell did you run away? So I just love both of them. Before we jump a little bit more into R2 and C-3PO, do you have a favorite droid in Star Wars?
Oh my God, it's so hard to choose because, like you said, I think the MVP of the saga is R2
Yeah.
because he basically saves everyone's butt. Because he goes R2. But I think, for example, one that I love is L3 and K2SO. I love their personality. Like that moment with K2SO, like, oh, Jin, I'll be there with you, and something like that. And she's like, oh, something because Cashin told me.
Cashin said so. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just show them real quick. We'll keep talking. So L3 is one of those very underrated droids in Star Wars. I know some people didn't like the portrayal. They say it's similar to K2. I see them a little bit different. K2 it still feels like a droid that's just being kind of snarky. But L3 is her own person, right? She wants this droid liberation, droid rights, and you're not my organic overlord. K2 still, like you said, I'll do this because Cassian said so. L3 is like, dude, this is my ship. Get your pompous ass out of my seat.
Revolution!
Yes. And then they don't serve our kind. So L3 is this totally different character that if we're talking about sidekicks, her and Lando have this great relationship that unfortunately when she gets shot, we see Lando just break down. Or then, and you can say this is a different episode about her getting connected to the Falcon and what that means for what her character wanted. But she's still helping at that point. If you've read the Solo novelization, they go more into that and how she kind of starts absorbing the computer of the Falcon and these other droids that have been put into there. And she's still trying to help. But K2, come on, that's the first time that we saw a droid in Star Wars that didn't feel like a droid, right? He was there cracking jokes, being sarcastic, throwing things on the floor. Oh, this is how you kind of blend in with the grenades exploding. And of course, smacking Cassian when they're trying to play that they're going to prison. I'm taking them to prison. Yeah. So I love all droids in Star Wars. I think I gotta go with R2 as my favorite. Like you said, he's the MVP. He's been there since the beginning. He has the whole knowledge. I'm a little bit bummed that he wasn't used too much in the sequel trilogy. Yeah. I know we have BB-8 and he's kind of bringing this new generation into it, and I love BB-8. I would have loved that they do a little bit more with R2. We just see him in a little same thing, just saving the day. Luke doesn't want to go. Here's that hologram of Leia. Oh, you don't know where Luke is? Oh, I have the other part of the map. I wish that we saw a little bit more with him. But I do love everyone else. And BB-8, like Harris is saying, BB-8 is one of my favorites. His relationship with Rey and the group is great, especially Rey and BB-8's first meeting. So let's talk about BB-8 real quick, because this is another character. BB-8. It's too far. I can't get
it's too far. I have them right here. So
I gotta get my show prep a little bit early and have all the things here. But BB-8 is very similar to Chewbacca, that he helps a lot of people. So yes, of course, he's with Poe and will die for Poe. That introduction with Rey is great, and they just help each other, especially in The Force Awakens. He then makes a connection with Finn. In The Last Jedi, we see a lot of that. And if you've seen Star Wars Resistance, also with the main character over there, Cass, because Poe kind of leaves BB-8 with him, they have also that great relationship. So BB-8 is a droid that just came in and everyone loved him. As soon as we saw him just running down the desert in that trailer, we all fell in love with him. Is there a scene of BB-8 that kind of calls to you? I have mine, but I'll let you say.
Well, I think mine is when in Crate, when they made it to the bunker. Yeah. And Poe is like, oh, you're like, where's BB-8? Where's my droid? He cares more about his droid. And that moment when he greets him. It melts my heart because he's
Yeah.
really in love with this droid. I love that.
Yeah, that's a great thing. I forgot about that. Finn, where's my droid? Yeah, and then he just kind of scratching him. I have to go with the Force Awakens when he gives a little thumbs up
Oh
lighter
yeah.
to Finn when he finally kind of tells them where the resistance base is. But BB-8 is a great character.
Oh
It'll be
yes.
interesting if we get to see more of him, if eventually they continue with some of those characters from the sequel trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just have to say about 3PO, I know we give him a lot of hard time because he's irritating somehow. But hey, we have to understand what we could expect of a droid that was made by the Skywalker when he died. I mean,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
Anakin, I don't like Sans Skywalker himself. So, but
yeah.
I like to. It's interesting to think how whether we like him or not, 3PO and our R2 as well have been part of a lot of important events of the
Mhm.
galaxy, of the history of the galaxy. Actually, in the Poe Dameron comic run by Phil Noto, amazing art. Um, there's some scene where Poe tells him like because 3PO is all like insecure and such, and he tells, "Hey, buddy, you've been part of the story, the history, a lot of important events. You've witnessed that."
Mhm.
And there's a short comic run that was released after the comic The Force Awakens about how he got his red arm, and it has some glimpse of. Obviously, we know that at the end of Revenge of the Sith, he got his memory wiped, but it has it seems like he has some kind of flashes of
Mhm.
that. And the art is amazing because you can see the fight in Mustafar and stuff that he doesn't remember, but
Yeah.
it's right there. So it is nice to think about it just from that point of
Yeah.
view.
Poor Tripio gets his mind wiped after the biggest events. Right? He was there to say,
I
that
know.
guy, Anakin, that's Darth Vader. Now gets his droid mind wiped. And then he has to get his mind wiped again and have to relive everything. Babu Freak, he's one of my oldest friends, even though he just met him. You're right. We kind of make fun of Tripio, but without him, it just would feel so different.
I
And
know.
I remember being asked years ago, something when I started the show, if you were in a desert island with one droid and one Star Wars character, who would it be? I think I picked 3PO because he will have some great stories. You have enough stuff to get by if you're in a deserted island just with yourself and 3PO. So one last droid, we can leave him, is Chopper.
I
Um,
know.
so the murder droid, Chopper, he's here with L3. So friend with Hera, and real quick, if you're talking about companionship, loyalty, devotion in a sidekick, when Chopper, after spoilers, after Kanan sacrifices himself, a droid, right? They have no emotion. They don't care. Just
Yeah.
holds Hera's hand. And then saw in the Bad Batch, they've been together since they were younger. So yeah, Chopper, he might be a murder droid, but he still have a soft heart for those he cares about.
I know. Yeah, he's the goat, and
Yeah,
he has this snarky attitude and a murderer and whatnot, but he's reliable, dependable, and it makes you think that sometimes these droids are non-sentient beings,
mhm.
but how that he had this gesture of with Hera, especially if we were already emotional, that I think that thing was
Yeah. Yeah, Chopper, when I watched Rebels the first time, I was like, I'm getting not annoyed, but it's like, this droid, dude, just be a droid. But then rewatching it, it's just a great character. He's one of my daughter's favorite characters from Rebels. She's got like
yes.
3 pillows of Chopper. Again, he's back there somewhere. Her earbuds are Chopper. So yeah, you gotta love him. So some of our friends are saying Amy Guerra going to Aftermath, saying Mr.
Oh,
Bones is such a winner. Like I said, I haven't
yes.
read Aftermath. I'm sorry. I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah, the trilogy is really good. I think the first book is the slower of
Yeah.
the three, but once you go through that, the second and the third are really good. And Mr. Bones is really a great character. He has these moments like, yeah, this another murder droid, but with this attitude that makes you think
Yeah.
that it's really relatable.
Yeah, eventually I'll get to it. Otis adding, showing some love for BD1, Cal's faithful
BD1.
companion for Jedi Fallen Order. Harry saying, I really like how L3 has been referenced in War of the Bounty Hunters with both Lando and Kira mentioning her. Give us
Yes.
more. Chopper is king, says Mo. And our friend, she
Yes.
made it. Lauren Romo, Chopper is GOAT. I said what I said. And I did back on our second episode of season 2, we had Geeky Waffle. No, sorry, it was Lauren here. The Galactic podcast was here. Lauren and Andrea, we did our show about droids, and I think some of them
Whoa.
picked Chopper as their favorite droid. That's they should. Chopper is
Oh,
great.
yes.
And yeah, I really hope Chopper made it to the Battle of Exegol,
Yeah.
says Harris. I mean, if the ghost was there, Chopper would be there.
Indeed.
All right, so like I said, there's so many great sidekicks. Let me pick and choose a few before we kind of finish up. I gotta give love to the High Republic and a
Yes.
little Charhound Ember. So if you haven't read the High Republic, get on it. And Ember with Bell Serifard, his loyal Charhound from the planet Elfrona. So we haven't got a lot of Ember, of course. Brand new character this past year in the High Republic. We saw him in Light of the Jedi. He also comes in the Rising Storm, which you haven't read, so we won't get into it. But come on, it's a dog. It's a fire dog. Of course, it's gonna be a great character.
Yeah, and just talking about this amazing, it talks a lot about the work, tremendous amount of work and dedication they did with the Quiet Republic to bring this character that is such, like you said, it's a around, but it's a fantastic one. It's a character
Oh, she's gone. Oh no, she'll be back. Connections, man. There's always an issue. But Harris is saying Ember was absolutely vital to Bell in the Rising Storm, 100%. And that's when I really fell in love with Ember, was in the Rising Storm. It's yeah, you're saying she might be a female Charhound. I have no idea, but Ember, someone we all love Ember. Reminds you of your own dog out there. Very cool. But yeah, Ember, let's just say Light of the Jedi, because Noor-Hal hasn't gotten to Rising Storm yet, even though that's when he shines as a sidekick. It's this Charhound that the temple in Elfrona had. The Blade of Bardota, I forgot his real name. He was the one that had him, and then when Bell and Loden get to Elfrona, he kind of starts this relationship with Bell. They go into battle together. I love reading that part in Light of the Jedi when they're on the steels, those horses just charging against the Nihil, and Ember's just running right with them. And of course, everything that happens in the Rising Storm, it's so heartbreaking what Bell is going through. But having Ember there is just it's one of the great things. I love the idea of Galaxy having dogs. All right, she's back for a third time.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know
Ah.
what happened with my laptop, but now I'm back. Hello? Oh. No, I can hear. Can you hear me?
There we go. All right. Can you guys hear me? I guess I was muted. I should be back now. All right. So hopefully you guys can hear me now. I think my mic is working. Sorry about that. All right. So yeah, mic is working. We're back. It's a live show. We all know Lauren. We have all these problems. Um. So yeah, Amy's adding. She loved Amber right away. Fell in love with her in Light of the Jedi, which was great when we saw that dog. Thank you, Oti, for saying Laura. So my mic, the battery went down, so I just changed to my regular microphone, but then it was muted. I didn't see it for a few minutes. All right, so hopefully Noor-Hal can join us we're kind of wrapping up now, but we gotta talk. I gotta mention them. We're talking about the High Republic. We're gonna talk about our friend Geode. So I had Geode and Lobot here, some great sidekicks. But let's talk about Geode, right? This rock that we saw in Into the Dark, and I hope that Noor-Hal can join us again because she's reading Into the Dark now. I wanna hear her thoughts about Geode. All right, I think she's connecting again. All right, she's almost here. Let me give her a few minutes.
Hello.
All right. Yes.
Sorry about that. Yes, I'm back.
No, we had issues at the same time. My microphone went down, then I was muted. But we're back.
Awesome.
All right. So when you were out, just kind of finished talking about Chopper and just wrapping up now, Geode. So you're reading Into the Dark. So you know a little bit about Geode,
Yes.
the sentient rock out there. He's a navigator. He does everything. How does he move around the ship, the vessel? We don't know. But we all love Geode. And again, it goes to Claudia Gray, making us care about a rock. So since you're still kind of in between or halfway, I don't know how far you are Into the Dark. I won't go too much into it. But what are your thoughts so far on Geode?
Well, so far I'm still at the part where they are with the left station, and I think it's interesting because by the description it's like, wait a minute, is that rock? How he communicates with them? But at some stand it's an interesting way to see a character that have a different way of communication with the main characters he works with, they work with. But I think it's the interactions with these characters are quite relatable and endearing. So it's interesting. I remember when I hadn't read yet the book and I saw mentions about Geode, and it's like, yeah, what they're talking about. But I started reading to know this character. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you go through the book, but yeah, it's a rock. What is this? It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense in the book. And like Harish is saying, every time he shows up, he just kind of pops up. It's like, how the hell did he get here? Or it got here. It doesn't matter. And then by the end, it's very reminiscent. I won't not spell anything else. But he does a few things towards the end that you're kind of, oh yes, Geo, where would we be without you? All right, so there's a few others like Lobot. If we're gonna go with the bad people, Bib Fortuna, of course, the Mayordomo for Java. But let's go to one of my favorite parts of the show, which is Rebel Thoughts, when we hear from our friends in the Twitter sphere. And today we had our friend from the chat. But before going to it, Rebel Thoughts. Yes, of course. So our friend Mo at Jean My Stardust wrote to us talking about her favorite sidekicks. I'm gonna go with an unconventional one, Saw Gerrera and his sidekick Young Jin. And that's an interesting. Yeah. All right, there we go.
Yeah, sorry,
All
I changed. I made it. Sorry.
All right, let me make sure I only have one of you here.
Yes.
All right. No, wait, I put you again. Okay, just that.
Awesome.
So our friend Mo, who was on the chat, if you're still here, Mo, I will love to hear your take on it. She says, young Jean Erso being the psychic to Saw Gerrera,
Yeah.
especially if you read Rebel Rising, which she's great. So I love Rebel Rising. We get to learn so much about Jean growing up, those years that she spent with Saw Gerrera, and then that break that they had that we kind of catch up then in Rogue One. But yeah, have you read Rebel Rising? And if you have, your thoughts on young Jean Erso?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, reading Rebel Rising, and I think I read first Rebel Rising and then Catalyst by James Luceno.
Yes.
And I think those are some of the details that are not included in the movies in Rogue One, because from Rogue One, the impression we had is that Jean was rescued by Saw Gerrera, and then he kept her as in her cadre in his organization as part of, and he had this kind of like surrogate father relationship with Jean. But from the books, one of the things that I was thinking is that from the movies, I thought, okay, Saw Gerrera had this relationship with the Ersos, with Galen and Lyra, but he wasn't that close. It was just the plan was to take the family out of Lamu, but he just got the little child, the Jin, and he was like, I don't know what to do with you because you're a little girl. But I like how they show how she grows up as part of the partisans, and at one point they part ways, or better said, Saw leaves her. But I like how that relationship and how he took that mentorship and / surrogate father position towards Jean, and how that influences her. It's part of her personality, not only being the daughter of Galen and Lyra, but also the training, that perspective she has, how we see it at the beginning at the Wobani camp, where she's prisoner. But by Rebel Rising, we learn so much about what she went through. So I think that this is really interesting first to talk about John Jean Erso, because we might think, oh, she's a rebel, but yeah, like we said, Rebels, the series, show us the different cells that were rebels in the galaxy, but they were not part at the beginning. They were cells, independent cells, but they started getting together as part of the Rebel Alliance. But we see that between them, they had discrepancies on what to do, because we saw in Rebels that Mon Mothma and that Saw Gerrera was totally against what Mon Mothma was moving towards. Like, yeah, we want things to change, but we don't want to do a radical thing like the partisans were doing. So
yeah, how to get two different visions of how to get to the same goal. And like you say in Rogue One, we have that conversation when they meet finally on Jeddah. And this is why I don't do trivia. But she's like, you left me, I was 15. And he's like, you were already the best fighter in my cadre. What does that mean? And then Rebel Rising shows us from that point when he rescues her on Lamu, how he trained her, had that father relationship, showed her how to survive. She didn't treat her as, yeah, you're just a kid, I'll keep you away from everything. The way he trained her with this, they were empty shells, but the stormtrooper armor, she didn't know, just shoot that person there, they might be alive. But that's how she grew up, and she loved that relationship that she had with him, because she wasn't treated as a kid. She was part of the group. She had all these missions, forging all these documents, and then unfortunately Saw did what he had to do and just leaves her in the middle of a battle. It's heartbreaking, because then we know what happens in the movie. And Catalyst used to be my favorite book before Into the Dark. That shows us so much about what's going on with the Ersos and with everyone else in the Imperial side, and where Saw came in, and seeing all those three stories kind of finally come to a head with Rebel Rising, Catalyst, and Rogue One is a great trilogy. Like Mo is saying Rebel Rising is so good, highly recommended.
Yes.
And she's saying we see Saw raise Jean and become a rebel fighter just like him. At what point she's happy
I
to go by
know.
Jan Guerrera. Poor Saw. I mean, he's a militant by heart, and sometimes that doesn't work too well if you want to also be a father.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. So I think that we can call it a show there. It's a great show today. Thanks for being here, Noor-Hal.
Thank you
We
for
had
having me.
some technical issues on both our side with that usually happens when we're doing not you- my again when you left I was muted for about 2 minutes and no one knew what was going on. So you were gone, I was going like this, I tried to fix it, and I just had to hit the unmute, like all those Zoom calls and people are, you gotta hit unmute. I was muted. But
Yeah.
anyway, thank you for being here, Nor. Thanks. Let me say, there were a lot of people today in the chat. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Harry, for
Thank you.
joining us live today. Oti, of course, Amy, Mo, Lauren, Dale, anyone else that I cannot miss. And if you weren't on the chat, but you were watching live, thank you also. Hashtag Bonek. I saw it as I was going down through the list.
Yes.
But more importantly, thank you again, Noor-Hal. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you out there? What can I expect from you in the future?
Sure. No, thank you. Again, thank you for having me. I had to say a great time. Again, apologies for this technical problems, but I'm happy we could sort them out on both of our sides. Yeah, you all can find me on Twitter at Noor-Hal, and Noorhal. You can see all my rants about Star Wars, Marvel, pop culture. I have my link tree on my bio with all my collaborations. I'm a Geeky Waffle contributor, and so you can see me on live streams and podcasts with they're fantastic Candace, Arzu, everyone at the team. And also, well, you can check my YouTube, and it's on my links that all my acoustic covers. And I'm also going through I started a new site for book reviews. It's called Noor Reads. Don't come Amazon for me because I'm using the Goodreads, Noor Reads, where I write reviews of Star Wars books and other books that that come into my way. So definitely looking forward to get in touch. Yeah, come say hi.
So a lot of places where they can find you. There's your Twitter's down in the description of the video. They can start there, get your link tree. Looking forward to seeing your review of Into the Dark, because I just love that book so much. Now we'll have you again sometime soon, and hopefully we'll have better reception on both ends. I'll make sure to charge my microphone also. So again, thank you, Noor-Hal, for being here. Thanks for everyone in the chat. If you're watching this show, I'm pretty sure you know where to find us. It's right down there on Twitter and Instagram at Radio Rebel Pod. Also have our website, radiorebellionpodcast.wordpress.com, where we have our own book reviews and links to the shows, and sometimes we put news also there, so check that out. And then live shows every Saturday. Then you can also listen to them as an audio podcast on Mondays. Next week we're taking the week off. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so go have fun with your family. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I have my brother-in-law coming with his wife, so I didn't want to spend time doing the show. The week after that, we have our friend Jedi Geek Girl is going to be here. We're going to be talking about Legends and Expanded Universe books, which I don't know too much about, so it will be her show, giving her recommendations. A week after, we have our friend Connor, Depa Banana, as you know them out there on Twitter. He'll be here. We're going to be talking about favorite Jedi. So let me just show my lightsaber one more time.
Oh, it's really cool.
I'm just going to have this to beat him over the head every time he brings Cal into a conversation. Cal Kestis. We're going to spend 2 hours talking about him. And then after that, December 20-something will be our last show of the year. Will be our big recap, our favorite thing from Star Wars 2021, trying to figure out guests for that show. And then it's Christmas and New Year, so we'll take a little break. So I think we have 3 more live shows before we take a break. And that was a very big outro. Sorry about it. But again, thank you, Noor. Thank you, everyone in the chat. And as always, stay safe, be safe, and may the Force be with you.
Rebellions are built on hope.